Hey everyone, welcome to the Bruce Williams channel. I have a brand new Seiko Marinemaster 200 on loan from Exquisite that I would like to share with you and answer a few questions that I've had as I've seen this released over the past almost a year now. Now, how good is this watch? Is it thin enough? Is it better than a Marinemaster 300? Is it worth buying, or should I save more for, say, a Black Bay 54 or a Black Bay 58? Does this Marinemaster 200 wear too small? How's the new movement? Is it any good? And what could be improved with this overall watch? I'll share my opinions on all of those points throughout this video. This is another modern celebration or homage of Seiko's first diver design, the 62 MAS that debuted back in 1965. Now, here is an unpopular opinion. I don't think it's Seiko's best design. It was their first attempt at a traditional diver, and if you compare it to other watches done at the same time period and even before this one, it's kind of derivative of what the Swiss were doing and what the Germans were doing at the time. So it's not necessarily original, but it is the first, and it is pretty unique when you compare it to what came from Seiko after this design. So I'm not a hater. I love Seiko probably more than the average watch collector. I just want to point out that this is kind of a different design for this awesome Japanese brand. Now, I'd like to shout out to Exquisite Timepieces briefly. They are a family-owned brick-and-mortar authorized dealer that carries over 60 different brands, everything from Seiko Sports to Parmigiani Fleurier. They carry Omega and Glasuta Original and Hublot, Grand Seiko. They really have quite a few awesome watches. So if you're shopping Seiko, Grand Seiko, any other of the brands that they carry, definitely reach out to Joe. I'll place his contact information below. Now let's get to these questions. First, how good is this watch? And I would say really dang good. I have a high opinion of this piece. It has a lovely fit on the wrist. The finish is exactly what we like to see from Seiko. It is above average. I love the blue coloring. I love the dial textures. I even think the wide chamfered bifinished hands are satisfying to view under the macro lens. Not to mention the return of Marinemaster to the dial. That's really nice to see. The lume is thickly applied. It glows very bright. Luma Bright is so satisfying, and this has a good application of that compound. The bracelet is finished to the same level as the case, which again is above average. The bracelet is comfortable. It's got a nice design. The bezel action is quiet. It's smooth. It is nicer than many Pro Specs level Seiko watches, but it's not quite at LX level when it comes to that tactile feel. The ARC on the sapphire crystal is so well applied, it virtually takes out all reflections. It's very effective, and I think that's an often overlooked detail that is so welcome to see on this SJE099. The overall piece is versatile, it's comfortable, and most importantly, it is beautiful. So yes, how good is this watch? It is so dang good. Now, is it thin enough? And I would say definitely. Seiko has long made thick mechanical watches. They have shown little regard for thinning out the case, whether it's a sports piece or it's a more dressy piece. This has a new 6L caliber within, and that allows the watch to clock in at only 12.3 millimeters in total height. So it looks thin, it wears thin, and it still retains 200 meters of water resistance. And Seiko's been able to do all this and add in an open style display case back. So I think, yes, definitely this is thin enough. It's thinner than a Submariner. It really is comfortable on the wrist, and it's all thanks to this thinner movement design. Now, is this watch better than a Marinemaster 300? And I would say no, it's not. The Marinemaster 300 has a ceramic bezel insert, which this one does not. This has a coated metallic bezel. The Marinemaster 300 has more color options. It has more water resistance. It has an adjustable clasp. It has a better 8L movement. Although it is thicker, it is a better and more decorated caliber. And overall, the Marinemaster 300 is the classic Seiko design when it comes to a diver. It is curvaceous, and it has the crown down at the 430 position. And so I like the Marinemaster 300 more, and I think it is a noticeably nicer watch in almost every regard. Outside of how it wears, the Marinemaster 300 is a chunk of a professional diver, and this one again is very thin, very trim. It's more of a dressy diver and less of a tool diver like the MM300 is. Now, next question. Should you buy this Seiko Marinemaster 200? Or should you save up more for, say, a Black Bay 54 or a Black Bay 58 from Tudor? And I would say only do that if you like those watches more. If you like this one more, then obviously buy this one. It is that simple. I think this will fit very similarly to those other watches from Tudor. This will be less expensive at retail price. This will have better lume, better ARC on the crystal. It will have more satisfying dial details, but I think the Tudor will be better in every other regard. But it should be because it is quite a bit more expensive than this Seiko. Another good sub 40mm retro diver option to consider is the Seiko SJE093. If you want a more faithful 62 MAS homage or re-edition, that one is nearly 1-to-1, though it is limited, it is harder to find, but it is another one to consider. Now, how is the new movement? This is called the 6L37 caliber. It will be thinner than any other 6R or 8L movement to date. This has the upgraded finish work, but it will not be close to 8L levels of decoration. That one is still a noticeable step up in terms of the quality of the finish. This caliber is 4 Hz when it comes to the beat frequency, and it has 45 hours of power reserve, an Edicron regulation system, Dia-Shock protection, and it is regulated to be accurate to a window of -10 to +15 seconds per day, which really doesn't sound all that great, but Seiko is notorious for under-promising and over-delivering. But again, how is the new movement? This might be an unpopular opinion, but I look at the specs, I look at the finish, and I don't see something particularly exciting. To me, it's kind of like seeing an Elabor grade, fully decorated SW200 movement in terms of the specs, in terms of the finish, and the stated accuracy. But it is big news for Seiko. It is thinner, and that's allowing them to really step up their game in that department of making the fit a little bit more refined on the wrist. Now, does this watch wear too small? I would say no. I don't think so, but it does wear thin, it does wear trim, it does wear compact. So to me, this feels more like a 38.5 or a 39mm diver. It does wear pretty small when it comes to the lug-to-lug dimension and the overall height. So if you like those more traditional sport sizes, I think you're really going to like the fit of this watch. But conversely, if you like larger wearing divers or larger wearing sport watches, definitely go for another option because this does wear fairly small. Now, what could be improved? Really, at this price, I want to see ceramic. I don't want to see a coated metal, bezel insert. I think that's something that needs to be implemented with this watch. And I also don't want to see the Wave logo covering the crystal and kind of obscuring the movement. I think that looks a little bit cheap personally. And then lastly, I would like to see a quick adjust clasp in the bracelet. This has a short milled clasp. It does have the old school micro adjustment holes. So yes, you can dial in a good fit, but you don't have on-the-fly adjustability, which I think if you're spending over $2,000 on a dive watch these days, I think it's fair to expect that feature. Let me know if you agree with that or not. I know some of you will say, I hate the date at the 4:30 position. I also don't like the circle. And I would say I don't agree with you. I'm not bothered by that in the slightest. In fact, I like seeing full markers that are not cut off or omitted. I think if Seiko did want to improve the date execution on this watch, perhaps they could blue out the date wheel to match this light, beautiful texturized dial instead of just the flat white that it currently is. Now, closing thoughts. I think this watch does all the things very well that Seiko is known for. But it adds one more thing to that repertoire. I think this watch is beautiful. It's well finished. It has excellent dial details. It has bright, potent, long-lasting LumiBrite. I think it has a very good-looking new bracelet design. I like the hard clear coating on the stainless steel that will deflect minor wear marks that normally accumulate as you wear and use your sports pieces. But I find this practical to wear daily. I find it versatile. I find it beautiful, and it will be available in 3 different colors. This blue, a black version, and then a silvery white limited edition version. But now, to add to all of those things that Seiko does so well, and they've been doing so well for so long, this is now thin, and it's sub 40 millimeters in case diameter, which is something that we're definitely not used to seeing from this brand. And it is a current market trend. So I think a lot of watch collectors are going to like this fit. They're going to like the way this looks on their wrist. Now, let me know if you have any specific questions. If you are shopping Seiko, Grand Seiko, or any of the other brands that Exquisite carries, I definitely recommend them. And a link will be below. Reach out to Joe. Please subscribe if you haven't already, and I'll see you next time.